All right, Smoke. It's Monday night. You know what time it is. We here live. Now, I got a question for you. You were in Big Ten country. It's weird. It's still weird to me that Maryland's a Big Ten school.
Okay.
Right? That's still weird. But you in Big Ten country, right? My question for you before we get into everything is: did you drive or did you fly?
Say that again.
Did you drive or did you fly?
Hey, Reed, listen. Now, this is what you got to know about Michael Locksley. Okay. Michael Locksley is the epitome of class A. He's an A-class guy. He's not going to have one of his own good friend, been knowing him since I was 17 years old, drive up to come holler at him, check him out, and do what we do. So I flew. Now, we ain't going to do that. Now, the crazy thing is, I'm quick to jump in the car and get to it, but this one was a quick turnaround. Week or so where I got to go up there and chill with Big Bro and get to what we got to get to. I'll ride it up there just so I can go see mom, dad, sister, brother, cousin, my great niece, my great nephew, my nephew. So this was a business trip though, and we got to we get to it.
Now here's the thing. Now I know Locks. I'm not as close with him as you are, but I've known Locks a while, and I know Locks is first class. Like Locks is like fine wine, custom steaks,
listen,
the best cigars that money can buy. Locks is like, so I know if Locks is taking care of it, you straight.
Listen, this is what I told Locks. I said, bro, I've been watched The Godfather of Harlem with our guy Forrest Whitaker.
Great actor.
Man, and Coach Locks was going through a spiel this weekend. And he was laying it up beautifully. And if anyone's out there that's ever been recruited by Coach Locks, you understand what it is. If you're a Locksley guy, you know what that means. You're a guy that comes in, probably not heavily recruited, but he's done his homework in terms of getting the diamond in the rough, aka a Ty Felton, and getting him from where nobody wanted to recruit him and sign him because he had an injury. And he takes you, molds you, and he easily become a household name. So he was going through this. I said, bro, you like the Godfather daggone DC. And he's always called himself that, but I just saw it in him. And now he's at the double nickel. And it's time for us to get him going in the right direction, for him to change the narrative of what Maryland football is known for in terms of a couple of years ago, they won 8 games. When I was there, went to the Music City Bowl, spanked Auburn. Year before that, put it on North Carolina State. The year before that, got into it with Virginia Tech and came out with a W. So it was 3 years of bowl wins. Last year, a minor setback, but this year's a major comeback for the whole operation. So listen, man, I can't speak more highly of another coach than I do of Coach Locksley, because he's the first guy that had some belief in me as a young guy to offer me a scholarship, and it took off for me. So I've always said I owe you more than what you've done for me.
You know, the thing about Locks, we know, the guys in the football circles know, he's a legendary recruiter. And that's how a lot of people know him in the industry. He has a saying that if you gave him a roll of quarters and a payphone, he was going to come back with a player, right?
You said a player?
Yeah,
he gonna come back with Vernon Davis, Vontae Davis, Sean Merriman, Steph Diggs, DJ Moore, Ty Felton, Chop. Much of people don't want Chop Robinson was at Maryland. Yeah, he gonna do what it do.
But Florida, Bama, Illinois won a Big Ten with Locksley.
That first Urban Meyer national championship team, a lot of those guys recruited by DC's own Bad Tail Baloo's own Michael, the Godfather of DC, Locksley.
This is my thing, though. Even when you talk about what he's done as a recruiter, what I think gets lost is he can really coach ball.
Oof.
He can really coach. Like, he can
really Reed, you remember the rideouts?
Yeah.
Rideouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. People often forget, man, Illinois, man, they won the Rose Bowl, Reed.
and Kerry not on here with us tonight, so we don't have to have like Kerry would tell us everything about the Illinois Rose Bowl team. And he's a Loxley fanatic because of that. That was with Juice Williams and those guys.
Yeah.
And
if y'all want to do homework, go check out the offensive linemen that he's developed and recruited over the years. Because whenever people think about Coach Loxley, they be like, oh my God, he's high flying offense. He was a running back coach as well too, Lamont Jordan.
Yeah,
Bruce Perry.
And we talk about this a lot as coaches, as football guys. I just hate when guys get the recruiting label and people don't realize, right, that he's much more than that. Like
developer of young men.
I mean, he can sit in there offensively and run any scheme. He knows ball at a high level. Got the interview this year, with the New York Jets as well, the NFL.
That's back-to-back years. He interviewed with the Dolphins a few years back.
Yeah.
And with the Jets and did a bang-up job.
Was a big part of Tua's development at the University of Alabama. Obviously,
Smitty's development.
Yeah.
Jalen's development. Jalen Hurts, Jalen Waddle, Calvin Ridley, and Judy.
And when we're talking about young coaches and guys that want to be at the next level, we have to teach them. I mean, recruiting is good if you can do that. I mean, that you definitely bring value through recruiting. But you got to be able to coach ball too, Smoke. People got to be able to put you in the position group room with guys, and you got to be able to get those guys to play at a high level. And Loxley is one of those guys.
And Reed, what also Coach Loxley, and I'll throw myself in there, gave the world and shared to the world was the ability to develop and roster manage. There's things that we were doing 3 years ago. You know what? You and I sat down, we shared ideas about it that people are just doing now. Like we've mastered the ability to flip rosters. Mm-hmm. We've mastered the ability to get the dirt from everybody else don't want to say it and bring it up and make it into a diamond. The Corey Bullocks, the Adizi Gaudis, mm-hmm. recruiting out the transfer portal at a lower level, but leveling up, understanding the value of player production and not just going after names, but production with the name and the ability to project up. So I don't even need to get into it anymore, Reed, but if they ever want to sit down and do it, he also founded the Minority Coaching Coalition.
He did.
That every year they do an outstanding job out in Vegas with that. Giving young minority coaches an opportunity to go out, interview for jobs. And not only coaches on the executive level is like myself, a general manager in college football, the opportunity to go out there and interview and prep guys. So it's so many good things that he's doing throughout the community that it often gets lost because everyone wants to, oh my God, he went 4-8 this year. But understand how he took Maryland. Like Maryland was there for left for dead. The kid actually died on campus when they hired him. Was there the year before. And he came there and it's never been done before. Three bowl games in a row, W's.
You said something a minute ago. You said leader of men, yep. Right? And as the game continues to grow at the college level and even at the high school level, and people are monetizing youth football, I think we forget sometimes that outside of X's and O's, outside of trying to win, and we all want to win, let's not shy over that. But as a coach, don't you have a responsibility?
Absolutely. Listen, Reed, I'm going to tell you like this. In my 2 years at Maryland and in the off season, and I'm a Bama guy through and through, but I'm also a Maryland guy because that's what I rep.
Yeah, you're from there.
Yeah. When Waddle, Smitty, Judy, Jalen, when Calvin went through his deal, when he got suspended for a year, Calvin spent the entire summer in Terpsville. Mm-hmm. Terrell Lewis, rush in from St. John's that went to Bama. He's back at Terpsville working with Coach Loxley. Like they're not at Bama. Those are Loxley guys. So as much as even myself, I didn't play for Coach Lox, but I'm a Lox guy.
Mhm.
So when the big homie calls and say, "Hey, listen, pull up," listen, man, roller skates on and a jetpack on my back, and I'm there.
I
Just
want
offer loyalty and love.
I want before we move on, I want to touch this topic. Jay Grizz, he says it's been a while, but Coach Reed has grown some more hair since the last show. Smoke, you my brother, look like you've gained some more salt and pepper hair underneath the chin, though. Not on the
No
top of
doubt.
your head, but underneath your chin, right?
That's wisdom, though. See, here's what it is, Reed. See, like Fat Joe and those guys, they always say they can go back in time because they want to color their Joan in and Beijing. And my man Joey Porter, I need to throw you out there. Joe, those are the Beijing Kings, man. Right? I ain't a Beijing guy. I want the world to understand that I'm a silverback. Right? I've earned the silver. I ain't never going back. I earned it. I want to show my age because I got a lot of knowledge, man.
Well, I can tell you this: people, when you got gray hair, sometimes people say you said it's wisdom. It can also be chaos, right?
It's
Like,
wisdom.
like my two older sons were kind of rough. I got my gray hair because of them. It wasn't wisdom; it was chaos. You know what I mean? But before they got to be teenagers, my hair was jet black all over. Everything
Read,
jet
knock,
black.
knock,
No
knock it off.
Beijing. I got the pictures to prove it, Smoke.
Jing, you was jinged up.
No,
You was mixing the 70%, mixing him up, combing in, not even sleeping on the pillow because all that to sweat out. Reed, you look like a Beijing guy.
no, no.
You. I'm telling you, man. You at one point, Mike T was a Beijing king. You know what? I think Ryan Day might just be a Beijing guy himself.
Ooh, I'm gonna ask him.
You don't have to, because that thing
I'm
is.
gonna
I'm
hit him
talking about. That thing is midnight black.
before the next show. I'm gonna hit Ryan Day, head coach at Ohio State, and I'm gonna say, Coach, I got a serious question. Can you please call me when you get a moment? And he's gonna and listen.
Does he have his box coming out? It's going to be Fat Joe, Tyson Beckford, and a Ryan Day color. Like that's a color match.
When I first met Ryan Day, he was the OC for Urban Meyer then, right? When he first came.
Yeah.
So his hair was like that even then. Like this isn't like the head coaching thing.
Yeah, Beijing ain't new to this though, Reed. Beijing has been around. That Jing been it's been jet black for a lot of cats, man. Sugar Ray, all them boys used to mix it up.
So listen, we're gonna move along. So I want to bring up it's a non-football topic, but it's a sports topic. I like watching the College World Series.
Love it.
I think it's one of the greatest sporting events that there is in the country. And we had a great story this year. Coastal Carolina, their head coach also played there.
Mm.
So he's an alum of the school. And they go up against LSU. So this is Coastal Carolina's first time in the show. LSU, we know in baseball, I think this was their 8th championship that they won this year, but they're always in the mix for the national championship. It's a great baseball down there. Louisiana, LSU, Shreveport also won the NAIA World Series in baseball. So a lot of baseball talent down there. But this is a once in a lifetime opportunity when you make it to the finals of the College World Series. The first inning, Smoke, of game one. First inning of game one, are we talking about emotional control? Head coach of Coastal Carolina ejected in the first inning, arguing balls and strikes in the best 2 out of 3 series. So him getting ejected in the first inning means he also had to miss the next game.
Mm.
Right? So you're not coaching your team, right? How do you feel about that?
Well, it wouldn't have mattered because Cade Anderson threw a daggone. It was his B game, starting pitcher for LSU. 10 strikeouts. I want to say 100 plus throws, almost complete game, but it was a 1-9 shutout. So, irregardless of the first or second inning getting tossed out of there, it was going to happen. But I just believe emotional behavior from a leadership position I think you have to really think about what you're doing, just because everyone on that team is looking at you for direction. And when the leader's not there, and especially in the first inning getting tossed, and you know you're gonna be out for the next one, it's like the little glimpse of hope that you had going into that game. And Coastal Carolina is playing beautiful baseball, bro. One of the best coach teams. Like, they play the game the right way. That coach is a beast.
Kevin Schnall, that's his name. Head
Yeah,
coach.
beast.
He's doing a great job.
Beast, bro. But the game got the best of him. And it's happened to all of us. So I'm not gonna kill him. It happened to the best of us, Reed. That was just a slip up. It was a slip up. So I'm not gonna go that far. It was a slip up, and hopefully he bounces back from it, and it was a teachable moment.
So Jay Greer says umps in baseball have too much control and not enough patience, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Professional, but isn't that officials kind of in every sport?
Yeah, but Reed, when you got to give grace, right? When you're in, I mean, you're fighting for your life, because Reed, I didn't give Coastal a shot, maybe 2% to win, right? The world knew that LSU was a better team. Coastal got hot. They're on the heater. Like I said, if you want your son to play baseball the right way, like, Coastal Carolina shows you how to play baseball. I'm talking about every scenario they're in, running them out, fielding, everything. They just do it. They just play it the right way with respect. And as an sometimes you got to hear it. And I saw it. It didn't look that disrespectful. And in a game that magnitude, knowing that he's going to be out for 2, unless he's out there stepping and throwing dirt on your shoe, you just kind of just throw a deaf ear to that, Read, and just keep on going, and just give him a strong warning to let him know. Because right now, we're not out there to see you on. We're out there to see the two teams play. Like, disappear and let the game go on.
I agree with that line of thinking. I also think, though, that you have to look at. So I think baseball, when we watch college baseball, I think the umps in college baseball probably let more go on than the officials in every other sport. Every other sport. I mean, the trash talking, the coaching antics, they kind of let you play in the way that I think football and basketball guys get very jealous of how far they let those guys go in terms of baseball. But on the biggest stage, right? On the biggest stage of the year, I just think that you have to be able to know when you're taking it too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you're in the World Series, right?
Mm-hmm. You're in Omaha.
And you're in Omaha, like, and they can't win without you. Like, that team at Coastal Carolina thrives on coaching. They thrive on the intensity. And I
it's
think
a reason why they're there. And he's a big part of it. It's a player driven game, but his ability, inspiration, and you know how it is as a coach. Sometimes you need an extra umph, and they needed everything to have a chance to beat LSU.
I think a lot of times as coaches, especially early in your career, right? You spend too much time going back and forth with the refs and like, instead of giving them the energy, you got to huddle your team up and give your team the energy.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of guys, I go to games, whether I watch my sons play or games that I coached in myself, especially early in my career. Like, you spend a lot of time on the officials, but even then, and this happens at a lot of levels. I tell this to guys all the time. A lot of guys that are arguing with officials don't even know the rules. They don't know the technical rules.
You said a mouthful right there.
They don't know the rules. Like,
they could be dead wrong.
Kevin Schnall did not know that balls and strikes is a call that is not to be argued in college baseball. It's in the rule book. They showed it on the rule book. And so I've been in football games that I've coached in, that I've watched, and there becomes an argument. Guys don't know the difference between rules at the high school level, college level, pro level. Just because you saw something happen in the pro game, you try to bring it to your game. The rules are different. I would advise any coach no matter what level you coach in, to really read the rule book. Because coach, you've coached before at college level, you've been in the league, you've been in high school. When they give us that rule book or that rules test, most guys are skimming through it, just trying to
Man,
pass
Reed, you giving them
it as a
credit.
coach. But
You know, most guys are putting that thing on the shelf
yes,
as just decoration, and they're gonna say, "Hey, man, I know the rules." And when they get to it, and there's one little finite rule, they're gonna argue with it all the way till they believe it's the truth. But at the end of the day, you ain't read it.
I,
But Reed, you know what? We're in a day and age right now that you can hire assistants. You got to have somebody on staff that is the rule expert. If you ain't gonna do it, get somebody that's an expert on it, just so when there is that question, you can go to that guy that's right next to you and nudge him, say, "Hey, listen, so and so, whatever, is that the rule?" And they should be able to spit that back at you.
I saw Rush Pros. For guys who don't know who Rush Pros is, legendary high school coach, 6-time state champion in Alabama, 2-time in Georgia.
At Hoover.
Hoover High School, Colquitt County in Georgia. I saw him win a game on a free kick because a kid fair caught a punt. And when you fair catch a punt, you're able to kick a field goal with no rush for free. And if the kid makes it, it counts. I had no idea that was
Reed just dropped some gems on guys. They sitting there right now, writing that down.
I had no idea that was a rule until Rush Pros did that. And I just happened to be watching the game on a streaming service late at night, trying to get some gems from Rush, who I met at the Army All-American game prior to that. But he was, when you talk about rules and when you get in situations where you coaching, a lot of guys don't understand it. And as a coach, it's hard to have most of the control. Smoke, I don't know if I've ever said this before publicly. I've said it in the background. In my 2018 season, I had a great team. I had probably the best team I ever coached. Was my 2018 team. And we lost in the semifinals 7-6. That's not the team that won the championship. But we're in the state championship. The state semifinals. We playing against Lamar. Lamar has won 7 titles in a row. And I'm thinking, I got the team now that we're going to beat them. So they're beating us 7-0. We go, and they're all over us. We finally score. We score on a naked bootleg at 7-6. I got the best kicker in the state, Smoke. And we're going to kick it, and we're going to go play overtime, right? The kick gets blocked. We lose 7-6.
Double throw.
Well, you know what the question becomes is, why didn't you go for 2? It's all on the line. That's the question. They call you out as a coach. But Smoke, that's not why we lost. I actually lost the game the week before, right?
Talk to me, Reed.
Week before state quarterfinal game, we play in Carruthersville, and we get down there, and I always hated going to Carruthersville. They had unruly fans. Their coach talked a lot of trash, and the AD, the principal, and the coach pissed me off before the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really – so we're winning 54-0 at halftime in the state quarterfinals. And then we got the game of our life the following week. Nick Lotz, who was my wing back.
You still running that wing tee?
Well, we
deserve to lose.
We bludgeoning teams.
You deserved it. I knew you couldn't put up. I knew when you said that waggle.
Listen, we killing teams with the wing tee. We give Nick the ball on the 25 reverse. We're up 54-0.
Counter crisscross. God.
Coach wants me. I'm just mad at the coach, so I'm just running the score. Nick gets caught on the 2-yard line, high ankle sprain.
Ooh.
Misses can't play in the semis. Right? So because he can't play in the semis, we can't run any jet motion. We can't run the counter crisscross. We can't do any of our reverse stuff. So if Nick plays, we probably win 21-7, right? But him also, the kick that got blocked, Nick was the wing on the PAT team. And the kid stepped the wrong way, and the guy blocks it. If Nick Lotz is there, Nick doesn't step the wrong way. He blocks that guy, and we can make the kick. So what I always say in that game, my lack of emotional control in the quarterfinals and me getting upset in the quarterfinals ended up being the reason that Nick got hurt because he shouldn't have been in the game. When we went up 54 at half,
You're
we
supposed to
got
pull him.
purple clock. I should have pulled them all out. We get ready for the semifinals, and there we go.
You know what, Reed? Speaking of injuries, I somewhat predicted the injury on Tyrese Halliburton.
How so?
I mean, you just got to be understanding of what an athlete goes through. And you have to use history to determine what the future or the present's going to be, what the outcome is going to be. Whenever I hear about calf strains, calf pulls, the next thing I'm always going to say is how fast are you going to get that athlete back? Same thing that happened to Kevin Durant, same thing that happened to Damian Lillard. Once you have that, especially in basketball, you got to shut them down. Because if you saw Game 6, and I know you did because we talked about it, they didn't use him the same. He didn't play as many minutes as he used to. They took him off the ball. They did some different things because Rick Carlisle is a beautiful head coach. Phenomenal
Unbelievable coach.
Right? So they used him and they didn't wear him out. But if he would have played the way that he played, logged the same minutes, was on the ball and TJ didn't come in and play for him, a lot of them as a point guard, yeah, that Achilles would have went out in Game 6. But once you have that lower extremity injury and it's wear and tear, especially towards the end of the season, it's just like football players with hamstrings. That's the muscle and that's the area that you use so much to cut, to jump. Like, you're a basketball player. You jump almost every single play. So if your calf is already weak, it's already strained, your body's telling you that I am fatigued to the point of uncontrol and that you can't, whatever you shoot me up with, whatever rehab I'm doing, the body's going to naturally give out. And when it gives out, those are the treads on the tire. You just blew a tire out.
So at the point,
so you lose it for 2 years now.
Yeah, that's what an Achilles does. So at the point that a guy has a calf injury, you probably should be looking to sit him down at that point before it becomes an Achilles issue. Correct.
Sit him down, rest, because there's nothing that you can do to straighten that up at that point. I'm not a doctor. Nor am I. I am not. If somebody knows better than me, cool. But I've felt those personally, and I've seen those. Once you start going, it's just like if you say, you know what, my hamstrings kind of tweaked it, bro, shut them down. Because there's no get back for that. It's the only way to get that muscle in that area back to where you want it is rest. And if you don't rest it, it's going to give out on you. It's only a matter of time, especially if it's towards the end of the season. Like Tyrese played in the Olympics. And then he was in the playoffs last year. So there was no rest.
Yeah.
And you're just wearing, just like Jason Tatum. Those are two guys that there was no rest from the year before. And they're heavy logged minute guys. So it's just, to me, you got to protect the player against himself. And I'm not saying that it's nobody's fault, but if I'm in management, upper management, and that's my best player, you just took yourself out of a chance to get back to the NBA championship for 2 years. And you and I both know things change in 2 years.
They change fast.
Right? Some guys are going to have to get paid. The young roster that you have now, some of those guys are going to be gone. So the strength that you have on your team was depth, like competitive depth. Guys that come off the bench and give you 15 points. Another guy come off the bench, give you 20. Like, those are the things in series that help you win games. And throughout the season, that's what makes you a stronger team, by not wearing your players out. But if you lose that and some of those guys get better and you can't afford them anymore, Indiana is not one of the teams that's going to spend a ton of money on you. Pascal Siakam ain't young. Miles Turner's not young. So again, you might have just lost that small window of opportunity that you have because the Detroit Pistons are coming.
So when you talk about roster management, you got to be able to adjust the roster, because when you get that close, I think it's really hard to pull the player. I mean, you're in the championship.
Yeah, Reed, but you gotta, you got to look into the future and say, okay, you're not going to win without him, right? You only can win with him, but at what cost? Right. Is it a cost of next year? Because it's June. I know they have a whole bunch of different ways. The Aaron Rodgers, he came back early, but Aaron is a quarterback.
Yeah.
He ain't a basketball player. It's a different movement.
That's good. We got a comment here from Grizz. He says, well, hopefully the longer college football season for playoff teams doesn't mean we'll see more of these injuries to teams that played in the recent playoffs. I think the difference is that the football players don't then go and play in the Olympics.
Right.
They don't play pickup football all summer.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play in pro-am football.
But what they are doing, Reed, is a bunch of daggone extra training that they don't necessarily have to do.
Now, you know that's a sensitive subject to people.
Yeah, listen, and that's where
I'm going to say, a lot of trainers that watch the show, Smoke. That's a very sensitive.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah,
I that's just my opinion. My opinion is not right. It just makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. So take it any way that you want to, but you can overtrain.
Guys,
you can be in too good of a shape. And I know that sounds so tail backwards, but you can be in peak shape going into camp and you've just worked too much. Like I used to take camp to make sure I got into football shape. I never wanted to be out of shape, but I never wanted to be peaking in August. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be peaking in November and October. You only have so many miles and so many hits, so many lifts, so many cuts on your body, right? So you have to be able to understand what you need. And there is great strength and conditioning coach. Maryland has one. Ryan Davis. RD's a beast.
One of the best in the game.
Right? And that's where you got to understand soft tissue and load management. And they have so much data now through analytics that they track all of that. But when you go with your trainer, you're not necessarily tracking that because you're out of the building. And I'm not saying don't go get extra work from a pro that's going to help your game, because that's what Ty Felton did when he went down to Florida and worked with Steph Diggs and all those other guys down there. It helped him. But he ain't running 30 miles a day. Like he's just using that as extra in terms of adding it into his tool bag. But as an athlete, you got to understand that it's a maybe 15-game season for you. And you had to go through spring ball where you bagging and tagging, like hitting. Like a lot of people don't understand that NFL players, when they're in OTA minicamp, they don't have pads on.
No, they don't.
It ain't no full contact. Right? They understand how to get to the point. Okay, I'm gonna work my technique, and let you run through. You still got 3 weeks of spring ball.
A lot of guys don't know how to practice.
There you go.
Yeah, they don't know how to practice.
You know what I mean? And coaches are doing a better job now of having different tempos. But still, you have to take that time to harden up, to make sure you get calloused up during August, so you can get ready. But if you overwork and you don't have proper depth, once you get to October, November, that's when you see some teams do this and other teams do that. One of the teams is always peaking later on in the season, Iowa.
Whew. We can do a whole show on Iowa. I got to get a couple of their coaches on here.
Bro.
If you go down to Iowa and you see their strength and conditioning and their entire setup, and when you talk about pros, they have that locker room that is for all that they form. They have a separate locker room that's for their NFL players, their NFL alums.
Mm-hmm.
And they all go back there to train and do their training there. Iowa develops guys at a factory level in the National Football.
Bro, you look at Iowa, they be like, oh, yeah, they're 2-4, or they're 2-3, and everybody's, oh, my God, they're at watch at the end of the year, 9 wins, 10 wins. They're somewhere playing in a bowl game. Be like, how? Just because they play the brand of football that's built for the long haul. Yeah. You saw it with Ohio State last year. Michigan the years before, they just get stronger towards the end. Nick Saban teams used to be like that.
Yeah.
Georgia used to be like that.
Incredible consistency.
But Nick and Kirby had the depth to practice, and you've been a bunch of Bama and Georgia practice.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't no like, bro. You talk about physical. As an NFL scout going to a Nick Saban and a Georgia practice, you're like, man, I don't need to do nothing else. I know exactly what 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them got, because they get coached hard. They practice with an intensity that is like no other. And they just don't wear down because there's so many of them.
And they are in incredible condition.
Man, listen, there's a reason why Scott Cochran was that guy for a long time. You know who's off that Cochran tree? Ryan Davis.
Yes. Scott Cochran was best of the best. We're going to change gears here a little bit, because I was talking to a former player that's probably 25, 26 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all, as coaches, especially for the coaches watching this, we've all coached really good players, but they have some issues, right? They have some off the field problems. They have some, whether it's drugs, whether it's, it could be anything. And it could be a litany of issues that you deal with. And we talked about Loxley earlier. You're trying to build men and create men high character.
Develop young men, be the bridge to manhood.
Right. I think that something that is really, really tough for the players to figure out. And I've told this to guys that have played for me before. I told 2 players this when they were playing for me in high school in particular. I say, as long as you play football at a high level, the level you're playing it at right now, people will turn the other cheek on a lot of the stuff that you do. There's going to be a college coach that's going to overlook some of these infractions and give you an opportunity, because winning is that important to people. But the minute, the second, the moment where you don't play high-level football, right, or when you're done playing football, they're going to treat you like they would treat a regular human being, and that's going to be extremely hard for you.
Yeah, right? It's a hard rebound.
It's now there's no calling the coach to get you out the back of the police car, right? There's no having the coach clear the traffic tickets, right? Smoke, how do guys get themselves prepared for that? I've always told the guys, start acting like you got some sense right now. But it's hard when they have everything handed to them.
You know what, Reed? And this is where I go back into the Smoke coaching, developmental coaching catalog book of developing young men, of getting them across that bridge from that boyhood to manhood. And for me, it was a simple formula. As a freshman, I would hold their hands, right? I'm going to teach you how to get to class, how to practice. I'm teaching you accountability. If you don't have that. Sophomore year, I'm letting your hands go a little bit, because you got to get to class on time. I'm not waking you up and making sure that you're at class. I'm not doing class checks on you, because I've already taught you how to do that. And when things happen outside of our control, I'm not getting you out, because you got to understand that there's consequences for your actions, because I'm teaching you now how to understand accountability. Now, I'm not saying that if there's a situation that I'm not going to try to help you if it's justified, but if it's a repeated behavior and I'm allowing it, I'm now becoming an enabler of your behavior. So that's sophomore year. Junior year, now you're turning into a mini me, because I have to now use you as an example to develop the younger guys that's behind you, right? So as I'm coaching you as well, but you're also coaching the other players outside of the field, but also on the field. So I'm now allowing you to develop an area of leadership, right? And command and authority over the younger guys, because I've given you that right to, when I step out and you're now the upperclassman, What he says is just as good as what I'm saying, right? That is 100% gospel. Now, when you get to the senior year, coach, I can step out the room and be like, hey, listen, use my guy, Brandon McClatty. Brandon McClatty, listen, teach Minnie. Like we can have, we used to have PRPs before PRPs, just because we used to give them the script and say, run it. So now, even though we're talking about on the field, it's now when you're off the field and your teammate is in those issues and in those problems, you can go get them out. I don't have to be there. And I'm teaching you the understanding of it's bigger than just you. It's about us, because what you do is a direct reflection of me. Because I got to go in that staff room and sit in front of the table, and the head coach is going to ask me, why are my guys doing this? And before they fire me, I'll fire you. Yeah. So it's just, to me, it's a build of not enabling young people. And I get that winning matters, but also life skills matters, because I think that's a sure determining factor of who that person is going to be once they stop playing the game. Like, we only have a few games in us, Reed, but you have a longer time when you're living out your life daily. You see what I'm saying? So the winning is the reason why we do it, but I think the journey counts way more, because the lessons that we learn along the way.
The journey is very important. Coach Donald Fuse asked this question. Coach Reed, what did you do for accountability and discipline when I was a high school coach? So I will say this. I think number one, it starts with the relationship. I understand a couple of things. I understand that boys will be boys, but I also understand that there's rules that had to be followed. Now, fortunately enough, I worked at schools that believed in developing young men as well. So we weren't heavy-handed on punishment. We were heavy-handed in restoration and changing behavior and trying to find ways to adapt and change behavior, right? I think that was critical in the way we went around those things. Now, I wanted to understand what each young man's situation was. I understood that a kid who did not grow up with his father was going to respond to things differently than the kid who did grow up with
Correct.
Right? It was.
And you can spot that a mile away, Reed.
Yeah, you can spot it a mile away. So I felt a responsibility that if a kid didn't have his father, for me to communicate with him and kind of try to bring him along, because I might have been the first person who gave him real discipline. The second,
male authority, yeah.
Yeah. The second thing is, if the kid did have a father, I was really big on kind of working through the father to make sure that things got done the way they needed to be done. I was great at parent communication. I don't think that, I know a lot of guys kind of get turned off by parents. They don't want to deal with parents. I thought that the parents of the kids that I coached had a tremendous amount of value to the program that we had. And I don't think we could have had the program that we had that became nationally recognized the way it did without the parent support that we had, especially from the dads, because we had such a dynamic group of dads that they could kind of touch all of the kids.
Right.
So if a kid had an issue, my knee-jerk reaction wasn't to suspend the kid from the game or get rid of the kid. It was actually to kind of find out what was going on and why we were here and why we were kind of in situations like this. So I think that was extremely important. Some guys like to punish. They're quick to punish. They come up with ways to punish them, and I'm going to do this if you don't do that, and I'm going to play, and I just really wasn't into that, right? That really wasn't my thing.
Right.
I was more into how do we fix this problem?
Right. And Reed, I always viewed it as this, and I always said, rules without understanding leads to chaos. Mm-hmm. Understanding the rules leads to the journey of success in life.
Yeah.
Right. So what you said is, it's okay to understand like what and why we're doing it. As long as you understand the why, then you can understand there's consequences for your actions.
Yeah,
because we explained it. Like I'm not into the punishing game or discipline for like to me sometimes there's so many rules that you even forget how to even like why do we even have this rule? Like, just do the right thing
yeah.
at the right time all the time.
I,
And you know what the right thing is because you don't have to question it. If you have to question and said, what would Coach Reed do if I got caught blank? Then, bro, I'm gonna say that's the wrong thing to do.
you also have to teach them how to speak
Right,
and how to talk and how to be
right.
able to communicate because communication really solves a lot of the issues, right? Communication really teaching guys how to deal with it. Like I can tell you, I had a really great player once, and he wasn't doing the schoolwork, and the teacher came to me about it, and I said, "Well, just give him an F. Like if he won't do his work, just give him an F. Like he'll stop, and you let him explain to his college coach why he won't do his work and why he's not going to be able to report. And now all of a sudden, now he's sitting in the front row.
Yeah.
Now his behavior has changed. You got to kind of know how to deal with the guys.
Reed, as an NFL scout, and I'm not gonna call out no schools or whatever, but the best schools that won the most games, players struggled the most to adapt to the NFL
Yeah,
because a lot of things were done for them, not with them, not explained to them, not taught to them. It was done for them.
yeah.
So when they got to the league, and it's like, all right, man, it's time to go home. Bro, they didn't have a clue
Mm-hmm.
because, I always had a schedule that taught me that said I had to be here this time. Like, and I get it. Everyone will say, well, it's your job. Yes, it's your job early in the process to teach that structure. But after a while, you gotta let that bird fall out that nest, man.
Yeah,
Because if you always have a safety net that's catching them, they don't know how to fly.
and it's tough too, Smoke, because especially when you coaching kids, you kind of have a protective mode in you also, but you have
Reed,
to.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't.
I do, man.
Hey, Reed, listen to me. I ain't a hard tail, I ain't a tough tail, but I am an understanding one because every single and I learned this early with my first child and my parents, they got 7. My mom's phenomenal, my dad's phenomenal, and my wife and I, we go over to the house and my daughter Juice is just learning how to walk, right? So every time that she would walk and kind of stumble, Stacey and I reach our hand out and try to grab. Oh, don't fall. Don't. My mom just say, hey, listen, in an own Jamaican way. They gotta fall down and get some cuts on their knees in order how to learn how to not fall again. Like we all gotta fall to get up. So if you keep catching, saving, when do they finally understand what that fall feels like? The longer you let it go,
That
the
hard and
harder it's
hard,
going to
hard.
hurt.
Yeah,
As a
and
baby, you forget it in a couple of seconds. You get older in your 80s and you never learn how to fall. You get a broken hip and you checked out. So it's a happy balance. You got to let it happen for them to learn. And I'm big on that. Like I'm going to teach you, but you also have to learn. And you're going to also have to understand that I just don't want to keep falling over and over and scraping my knees up and cutting my like at some point you're gonna be like, hey, you know what? I'm stepping too far. I gotta step up under myself, catch my balance, hold on to something. But you gotta figure it out because that's life.
I think that the separation though also is you were a college coach and I was a high school coach, right? So as a high school coach, you wanted kids to be able to get the opportunity to move to the next level so they can try to change their circumstances. And you
Mm-hmm.
wanted them to be as ready as possible. And you also wanted to have feedback and communicate with the coach the truth. So he knew the kind of kid that he was getting and he kind of understood what the situation more or less was going to be.
Right.
And so you wanted them to be, but I can tell you this with almost 100% certainty Any kid who was not able to really get himself going in the right way from a behavior standpoint, it was really, really tough for them to succeed at the next level.
Oh, Reed,
It was
listen,
just really, really tough.
because behavior is a lack of discipline.
Mhm.
And if you don't have self-discipline, self-awareness, bro, that's to me that's fatal flaw.
Mhm.
And even if you're uber talented, it's going to catch up to you because at some point you're not going to be detailed enough with your discipline to apply every single step to get. I know you love buck sweep right because they're going to say, I'm fast enough. I don't got to even make that 90 degrees turn. I'm just going to go run and just roll. And when they roll, that's screwing up the timing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So now you're going to be too fast in front of the guard. Now you're going to get smacked in the face. So to me, irregardless of what it is, you got to have that self-discipline and self-awareness to get to that next level. Because even if you aren't, at some point, the game is going to figure you out.
And you have to have the ability to take extreme correction and instruction. I was talking to a group of guys the other day. These were grown men. If you're one of those guys who can't be corrected, if nobody can say anything to you, if nobody can say, hey, because sometimes, Smoke, there's not a nice way to tell somebody they're doing a bad job.
You know
Sometimes,
what, Reed? At some point, what you just said, we try to camouflage it so much that instead of just saying, hey, listen, that's just not good enough, we get into a complete dissertation
Mhm.
of what that means to the point that the person that you're trying to instruct to give direction to, they don't even understand what the hell you're talking about.
Mhm.
So you lost them.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think you belittle and yell and scream, but you got to get that that correction instantly to figure out that, hey, man, I got, one thing that I always used to say, Reed, that I've always had an issue with. Just give me a minute to vent. It was coach off of film.
Mhm. And make sure they know you talking about Dabo Sweeney, the head coach.
No, I ain't. No,
You know who you
absolutely.
talking about?
I listen. Coach Sweeney is one of the best receiver coaches I've ever been around.
Ever.
Detailed to the point of, man, listen, if there's a blade of grass on it that you got to cut off, that's what you're gonna do. So I ain't talking about Coach Sweeney. I'm just saying I've heard it over and over again. Let's get the reps on the field and let's coach it off film. So if I'm coaching a guy that like can't get instructed off of film, he's a field guy. He's a walkthrough guy.
Mhm.
And every day I'm coaching him off of film. Aren't I losing a day or a rep to get him better? Because I should be able to say, hold on, stop. This is what a duo block feels like. Because I can go off of film and say, hey, listen, when that guy comes off at you and day, but most athletes struggle with that.
Yeah, they need to see it
People
on
with
the ball.
kinetic learning.
Mhm.
Like you got to go out there and feel it, see it, and I got to stop it right there because some guys out of sight, out of mind. Like you keep on jumping this until you figure that I'm saying you got to play with inside leverage and your eyes have to be on the inside hip and don't let that leverage hip cross your face. I can tell you off of film, but I got to put you in that for you to feel it every single time and what that feels like. And when you let him go inside and beat you inside, like it's creating a void because we don't have A, B, or C layer. Like you are the inside defender. It's the reason why we're playing it. So that's was always my question. Like I get it that we got to get 1,000 reps, but what happened if there's 1,000 reps that's ran wrong?
And it's no, when you talk about the offensive side, Smoke, it's one thing to draw up the pull on the board. It's another thing when LeVar Arrington wrong shoulders the trap.
Blows it up.
Right? And you experience that for the first time. And you need to know the way it makes you feel.
Right.
And you need to understand why your head has to be in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because when those guys come the wrong shoulder to trap or they come in the field, they scraping. You're not in unison with the other offensive linemen on the team or the other guys. What's the first thing that young running backs do when they get to the next level? They take the ball and they immediately go outside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care whether it's the 8th grade, the high school kid, the college. The first thing they do is, and it's no blockers there, right?
No,
So teaching the
or you
placement,
finally realize, Reed, everybody on this level can run.
they can run like a.
So you getting the ball and say, I'm going to get outside before anybody. No, there's a defensive end sitting right there waiting on you with a linebacker coming over the top, flowing, and a safety coming downhill. Like,
I
bro,
mean, there
there's
were
3 people out here.
11 edge rushers ran sub 4.5.
Reed, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
If you running a 4.5 and he's 280 running a 4.5 or 270 run, like you can't run out there. There's a reason why there's blockers. Set it up. But again, that for me that's hard coaching off of film because I can tell you over and over and over and over again and rewind like you're getting too fast. You're getting too fast outside. But you have to feel it and you got to go at one point run out there and get tattooed.
Coach Stokes said something here.
Talk to me.
He said he's seen 7-on-7 Warriors with their Friday night bus. Recruiting is going to do. Now, Coach Stokes, I appreciate you being here, right? I'm going to push back on this a little bit.
Yeah, they
I'm going to push
man.
back. Typically, the guys who play great at the 7-on-7s are the guys who play great on Friday nights. With very few exceptions. I have not seen a guy that dominated a 7-on-7 game that went out there in a high school game and didn't play well. Smoke, have you seen that?
No, Reed, listen. You guys got to cut this out and knock it off, right? And I'm not saying every, but if your players aren't getting recruited, and if there's some 7-on-7 guys getting offers and getting scholarship opportunities, maybe you need to switch your thing up or catch up to the game. And I'm not saying that I'm a big 7-on-7 person, but it's a part of the evaluational process. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use game footage. I'm going to use everything to allow me to come to a conclusion of who the player is. But if there's guys out there offering players off a straight 7-on-7 and they're not playing on Friday nights and you don't know what they look like with pads on, shame on you. Because I know what you're going to get. You're going to get a receiver that think that he can cut across the middle and run the opposite way because he's not going to get it. He's not going to get hit. There's a lot of tough guys in 7-on-7. You know what I'm saying, Reed? But
at the younger ages, though. By the time they get in high school,
Reed, there's 2 things that can be true.
Right.
There's people that put too much emphasis on 7-on-7, and there's a group of people that put everything in Friday nights. I just think if you ever get to the ground of truth where you're using both in order to evaluate the player or develop the player, I think that's where you're getting the best of both worlds because like we talked about, the wear and tear, you can't just bag and tag and hit and get calloused up every single day because there's only so much hits that you can do. So for the skilled players, 7-on-7 helps. Right? You remember when you used to go to the down and dirty camps, Reed?
Yeah.
Like for people that didn't have spring ball, like that helped you.
It helps a lot.
You know what I mean? So I get it. I don't think neither one is wrong. It's just a group out there that hates 7-on-7, and they think that every personnel guy is using that as a tool, or every 7-on-7 coach believes.
I don't think the good ones are though. I don't think the good personnel guys.
I agree, but there's some different behavior going on.
We got a parent here saying,
Nicole, I agree. 7-on-7 turned my son up this year. I hear you, sis. Hey, listen, I'm telling you, it helps because Reed, my son is not playing football until he's in the 9th grade. That's just me. That's just understanding like how many hits the human body can really, really take. And I don't think at 10, 11, 12, and we said it last week, 13 years old, in my humble opinion, that you need to be out there playing tackle football for 15 to 10 games a season.
Because it don't count yet.
It don't count.
You got to save it for when it counts.
Man, Reed, you
when
got
I tell
that. Those
people
are
that,
mulligans.
the youth coaches are always upset with me. I say,
and you're not going to get tougher because he played youth ball.
No,
I'm just like, Reed, I didn't know how to put on pads until the 9th grade, bro. Yeah. And it had nothing to do with tough. And I remember guys that were bigger than me in youth ball, and they were like youth football Hall of Famers that stunk in high school.
Where'd you play college football at Smoke? For the people that
a little spot down in Tuscaloosa, the University of Alabama. You started at Alabama. I'm going to say I started as a true freshman after the 6th game. So if you're counting all my high school games and college games, I'm going to say I played in the grand total. I didn't play in more than 45 games before I started a football game against, let's say Southern Miss, homecoming. That's Sherrod Gideon, Todd Pinkston. That Southern Miss team was pretty loaded. Adelius Thomas. That was that team. Yeah, and we smashed on homecoming. And then we played starting that. So it's not about me, or I'm just saying I don't think you don't have to send your 9-year-old out there for little Tyrone to be the best youth football player. That doesn't mean he's going to be the best high school player or college player or make it to the NFL. Man, why you got to say Tyrone? Why couldn't it have been Preston? I just threw a name out. Why did you say? Why does it have to be Tyrone? Reed, you know a Tyrone? I know a Tyrone. Johnny, Tyrone, Chris. I know a Preston. Leroy. Theodis. And we got a question from the Instagram side over here. We got a parent that says, how important is the interior of the offensive line versus the outside of the offensive line? So, in recruiting, what's more important, the center and the 2 guards or the 2 tackles? Reed, I would tell you that rarely do I want to recruit a guard to play guard in college. And I'm not recruiting a center. Yeah, that's no, Reed, listen to me. No bueno. If I ever sign a center only in college, go get my mother, go get my wife and all my sisters. They know that I've gone crazy. I recruited tackles because they're the best athletes on most, if not all, high school football teams on the offensive line side. Mm-hmm. And then I would project them to be able to play guard, tackle. And if they couldn't do guard, tackle, I would take guard and train them to be a center. So if you look at it, I'm taking a tackle to play guard and the same tackle that played guard to play center. So I want better athletes. Like the center is the worst athlete on the football team. Well, we're not. So I ain't doing it. We're not doing that. No, I'm just telling you. You said interior. They're part of the interior. The center the worst athlete today. We're not doing that today. No, I'm not. That's not the gist of the conversation. I'm just saying. But I take tackles, high school tackles, to play guard. And very rarely, unless you are a dominant guard, like you got to be out of this world guard in high school. Because if you're an out of this world guard, offensive lineman, what position are you gonna play, Reed? Tackle. Yeah, if we're being honest in the recruiting process, most of the top offensive line prospects in the country play tackle in high school. Yeah, and most of those tackles can't truly play tackle in college. They're not twitchy enough to put on the perimeter. What I would say to this question is, if you missing one of those spots, you're gonna be in hell. You better find the best way to get you 5 dudes out there that can play. Because if one of them can't play, it's gonna be problematic. If your guard, if one of them can't play, you know where they putting them. If one of them can't do anything, they're gonna. Listen, the all-time leading of your hero, Jason Kelsey, told you he was a walk-on linebacker. Now you done made somebody mad in the comments. That hated playing. That when they came up to him and told him that he had to play center, resisted it, hated it, was almost gonna walk off like, "Nah, I ain't doing it."
We
And they
got
said, "Hey, listen, we'll
we
get
got to
you
have
a scholarship if you play center." And he had a beautiful career playing in NFL as one of the best centers of all time.
we got a comment.
Go ahead, shoot it at me. It's probably from a center.
Jason Kelsey was reaching +1 defenders. No way you can say the centers are the worst athletes.
Who is he? I'm not saying that Jason Kelsey can't read somebody, but I'm just telling you that when I evaluated offensive linemen, if you sent me a center and said, I want you to sign this center, and my boss said, hey, listen, we're signing this center this year, like I'll bring the tackle to camp and I'll teach him how to snap. And he can snap.
You can't just teach him how to snap, though. It ain't
I can't read. Okay, you want me to teach you how to snap? Okay, listen to me, world.
I know how to snap.
World, listen, it's not hard. I wish I had I do. Let me get me a football. Where's it at? 1 second. I'm gonna listen. All you do is get the ball and throw it between your legs. That's it. Take the ball, throw it between your legs. That's a shotgun. Take the ball.
What if you got a 1 tech or a 0 shade on your snapping?
Okay. If you have, where is he at? Because I know you centers hate scream. Don't rush my snap hand. What is to your if you're right-handed, he's offset to your snap hand. Okay. This is what you do. You look at the better player to your right and say, hey, guard, please do what you normally do. Help. And you're going to get help when you snap the ball. Right? That's it. And you want to talk about if you got to reach him? If a shade allows a center to reach him, shame on you. Shame on you.
Hey, we're going to touch this comment right here. No, hold on. That ain't
Go ahead. Whatever one you want. Just take the ball and throw it to your legs.
Wide Towns King says youth ball is important in developing the basics and eliminating the fear of football. You just hope that it's being organized by the right group. What the problem is, it's very rarely getting organized by the right group.
I agree with you.
It's very few guys that are doing a great job.
Again, I'm not knocking anyone that allows their kid to play youth football. I'm just telling you that anything related to me ain't doing it because I understand it. Like you have a helmet on a 10-year-old and you're asking him to go headbutt someone or get his head banged. Like, Reed, you can recover from, you can get a new kneecap. You get a new knee, you get ligaments, you get bones. Like, they haven't found how to help the brain recover. And like, we throw that out there like he'll be all right. No. Unless you've been concussed numerous times and seen friends, teammates not even remember how to find their way home, then you realize, like, okay, this thing is way more than just being tough and come on, man.
I want to touch on this last thing, then we're going to get out of here. We ain't going to go too long on this. I got a chance to talk to a couple guys this week that made close to $1 million playing college football. But they didn't make it to the league. Mm-hmm. And now they're getting job offers, right?
You said they are or they aren't getting job offers?
They are. They're getting job offers. $50,000, $60,000.
That's good money.
They don't know how to handle this, Smoke. They're used to making $300,000-$400,000 a year. How do guys adjust? How do they come down from that high?
Okay. Here's the simplest way to come down from your high. Understanding of not having. You have 50,000 or you can have none. That's simple as it is right there, Reed. And just understand that when you leave the game of football, if it's in high school, college, like there are some opportunities that's presented to you that most human beings don't even have. Like I remember, Reed, getting my schedule done for me. Like most people had to do their own schedule. So if you're getting close to $1 million in 4 years, just understand that was just a job and a phase in your life that you were fortunate to have. And hopefully you put some of that away for the $50,000 or the $60,000 job opportunities that you're going to have. And it's a single, like, as a young single person, read $60,000 with no kids, and all you have is just your
Whoa,
bills.
whoa, 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 whoa.
We
A
got
lot
some
of them
kids in
have.
there.
A lot of them had kids.
Ooh,
They
we
having
talking
kids
about something
younger than
different
that.
now. Hold up.
Yeah, a
Hit,
lot
hit the
of them.
break. Read it. You see,
They playing
you
house
sprayed it
already.
out, but you didn't lay it out.
Yeah, a lot of them
So
had.
so you saying there's some child support in there?
There's some child support in there.
Ooh.
Well, maybe not even child support. There's woman support because you've allowed the girl to get into a certain lifestyle, so they still trying to take care of that.
Read this one gets deep. So you hold on. So you telling me there are young college players that's taken care of
A woman and children already.
in college.
Yeah, in
So
college.
read this. Listen, I've been a part of it as a player, coach, personnel side. Yeah, I don't think that can happen, boss. In either way, if you are, you started out your life coming out of college plus, yeah, it's a layup right there, Reed. You should be happy and you shouldn't have any issues stacking bread if you're getting paid 50 or 60,000 a year. You're probably taking home 35 on top of the meal that you done made. But you got to come down off of the crazy lifestyle of free food, living for free because lodging is taken care of, board is taken care of, and the endless supply of supplements, Gatorades, water, and all that other stuff. Like it's called being an adult. And again, if we were doing a good enough job as mentor to them as coaches and the adults in college, like they shouldn't have that big of an issue adjusting to what the real lifestyle outside of the football bubble looks like.
But they have to save and invest their money while they're getting it. Those lump sum
That's a great statement to say.
money.
Very minimal will do.
Yeah, and it just becomes problematic for them
Yeah.
because it's tough going from making 200-300 a year to making 60 a year.
Um.
That would be tough in any environment.
Yeah. Reed. But here's what I'm saying to you. No, I'm gonna disagree. All right, because I've been a college student and I wasn't making no 200,000. As a college student making $200,000 a year, what are your expenses? Let's be honest. What are your expenses?
You don't have any.
So what's the problem?
Well, the problem
So
is
what am I coming down from if I didn't have to spend it on anything?
Here's what the problem is. They do have expenses. They all go out and they buy a ridiculous car that they should.
Or the fast ones that they can't control?
Yeah.
And the insurance is out. Like insurance companies are so happy with some of these guys.
Listen, go get a regular car.
Go get a Honda.
Yeah, go get a
Accord,
get
Toyota,
a regular car. That's the
F-150. Go do something normal. Go spend you a good $40,000-$50,000 on a car.
That's it.
Listen, a little bit of note. Read cars devalues. Like the depreciation, like it just goes down as soon as you drive it off the lot. You don't need that type of status. You're already important. Just go get a regular car, put some gas in it or electric or diesel, and just ride and just be normal. Like, Reed, I'm telling you. So, my best friend asked me the other day, said, if you're in college and you had the opportunity to get whatever car that you wanted to get, would you have done it? I said no, because I had that opportunity and I didn't get it. I never wanted to be the guy. I always wanted to be under the radar. I didn't want to, if I went out, I didn't want everybody to sit there and like, you're just drawing unwanted attention as a young person. You see what I'm saying? Like people know who you are already. Like go away quietly. Like move different because what's the likelihood of you being able to take care of a $500 car, $500,000 car after you leave college? You got to be in the first round because the upkeep is crazy.
I mean, we know guys who just got cars from their agents, and then when they didn't get drafted, they couldn't pay.
Oh man, Reed, Reed, there's some bad stories that I got. Like cats thinking they going third round, second round, first round. Where they got back then for us, Reed, it was the Escalade Navigator, right? Yep. Excursion, yep. Right?
Yep.
24s, 26s. You know you had knock in the back. TVs coming from everywhere.
Spinners, don't forget the spinner.
Man, I'm talking about they still going right now, Reed. Mm-hmm. Custom paint. You got an automatic start on them. This is before every car had an automatic start. We're talking about early 2000s, late 90s.
I gotta tint the windows.
Huh?
I gotta tint the window.
Man, murdered out. Limo tint. I'm telling you, every time you get pulled over, it's a ticket. Right? So at the end of the day, you're sitting around like, bro, how am I gonna pay for this $120,000 investment? Well, car, it ain't an investment that I just got on a loan. And now I don't go in the first round. I got to pay this thing back. I've seen guys have to give the car back or play that entire year just to maintain that car and that loan. And basically had to live with a roommate. Now, Reed, you are an undrafted player. You make the team. You have a $120,000 car. And at that time, the league minimum was $225,000. Mm-hmm. So you getting one something from that. So your whole year is basically donated to your agent in your car.
Yeah.
See how crazy that's simple money. So now, as an undrafted player, you got to come back the next year because all you did probably was play either you're on P squad or you were inactive. You wasn't active during the year. You're on the 53, but not a 46-man roster. And if you did play, you got activated toward the end of the season, and you were a special team guy. I can tell you from a player's point of view and from the personnel standpoint, you're going to get drafted over. You're going to get overdrafted. Like they're going to draft somebody next year. If you're a corner, they're going to get a corner in the second, third round. Buddy, if you're the last corner, you're cut. And I'm pretty sure you ain't paid that car off. So that $1,200, $1,500 car note that you got to pay, you can't afford it. So I've seen dudes that flatbed come out there, Reed. Man, Big Mo putting that thing on the flatbed and it's going back to wherever it came from.
We haven't even talked about the girl yet. Like they gotta have a
Reed,
girl. They gotta buy the girl a bag, her mama a bag, right?
Reed, you know what? I ain't gonna lie to you. I wasn't so like my era wasn't so heavy into tricking like these young guys.
No, that wasn't the thing.
Nah, we was trying to get money out of cats. Like we was on the other side. What can you do for me? Now it's like, man, tricking is at an all-time high.
It was. I saw an Instagram post one day. Pimp C's wife said, if Pimp C was alive today, and he found out y'all was sending women this money in their cash apps, he'd be so ashamed. He'd be so embarrassed. Right?
I think when Weezy said, "If you trick it ain't tricking if you got it." I think cats took that and like they ain't run with it. They took off in airplanes.
Well, most of them ain't got it. You ain't got it, right?
Read everybody getting flued out.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you.
Talk to me.
We finna get out of here. Before we go, I got in the mail today a $50 ticket for running a red light.
Was you in DC?
No, I was in Tennessee, and I ran through. They say I ran through a red light.
Where at? Tell me so I don't do it.
Listen, I was in Clarksville, Tennessee.
I ain't coming out there.
Right? They said I ran through the red light. Right?
Reed, you ran the red light.
They say I ran the red light.
No, Reed, you ran the red light.
I ran the red light. $50.
Yeah, you did. Reed, they took a picture of. They saw a picture of you driving like one hand. You driving like this. They took a picture in front of your face, and then they took a picture of your license plate. You 150% ran that red light, and they hit you. Click, click. So don't go to the DMV and pull that stunt, buddy, because if you do, they got you. Don't cruise through it.
I might call the mayor and see if he can get me out of it.
Reed, you got to pay that. That is a no bueno. You done. You cooked.
Here's the thing. This is about favors. I want to tell this to people about. You don't call the mayor about a ticket because you ran through a light. You call the mayor. You call the mayor when somebody bump into you and you smack them. You call them to get you out of that, right? You don't call them to get you out of the speed.
$50 ain't worth it. If you were tripping over a $50 ticket, Reed, you might have been one of them young boys that was making a meal, and now you're getting a 50, and you didn't spend all of that on clothes, cars, and just you probably bottle service. You Reed, you remind me of a bottle service guy. If you was in this era, Reed, you would be 150% bottle service. You would pay $300 for a $30 bottle of tequila, pay $900 for $1,800 for a bottle of Don Julio. You look like one of them dudes.
Don't forget my cigars. Don't forget
big time.
Don't forget my Cuban cigars.
Puff guy, big guy.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this.
You stunting heavy.
All I'm gonna say about the ticket is my brother just got a new job. Both my sons have jobs. They doing well, right? I'm gonna see if they'll pay this $50 ticket for me. I'm out.
Reed, listen, like I used to tell cats, man, you can start collecting plastic bottles and turn them in, man. You get them 15 cents a bottle, man. Just keep on doing it. But you make way too much money. I've been over your house.
Whoa.
I listen, I done sat down at dinner, and you ain't an alligator arm guy. You do this. Hey, bring it right. I got this. Come on. Read. Your word is usually don't nobody have to touch their pockets if they with C Reed.
Don't do that.
I'm just telling you that's the type of guy that you are.
Hey, listen, don't do that. Right? Don't do that.
I love going out with you. I love coming to your house. I mean, you set it out. I mean, the layout is beautiful. I'm talking about wine. Wine cellar. You got a humidifier, a humidor. I'm sorry, like humidor, not a humidifier, a humidor. The cigars are, oh my goodness.
Listen to this though.
Don Julio by the barrel.
Your kids like coming here just because they can play the PlayStation.
You got 5 PlayStation. You got the setup at your house is beautiful. Everybody got one. Everybody got a PlayStation on their own 65-inch, and that's just the small one.
Hey, I didn't want my sons having to take turns. I want them to be able to do it. Least I can do, right?
They can sit all the way back and watch it.
Listen, but you can definitely afford a PS5 for your kid.
Oh, I can, but it ain't gonna happen.
But you
I can't. It ain't gonna happen though. Listen, we got Papa Shot. Just got in the back. I got a bunch of wiffle balls. Son is in the golfing. The kids took golf lessons, so we're out back chipping away. We're chipping away.
You're not a good golf player. You don't know how to play golf.
Say that again.
You don't know how to play golf.
Reed, listen to me. I'm a suburban kid. I am cultured. Every sport I'm self-taught. I've taught myself how to do it. Reed, I'm just like everybody else that's not on the tour. I suck, but I'm competitive. That's all. That's it.
Speaking of golf, I beat CR3 in miniature golf yesterday. Miniature.
Reed, do you know how to golf? Have CR3 taken golf lessons?
No.
Well, send him over to Uncle Smoke.
I'm gonna send him out. I'm gonna send him to
Country Club right across the street.
Country Club. See that? I'm not a member of a country club.
It's right across the street.
But here's what the people don't know about you. You are the first NIL athlete at the University of Alabama, and you were in the class of 1999.
Our class was heavy NIL there. We got in trouble for that. We are known. Listen, a lot of people tell you, oh my God, college was so hard. We struggled.
Not at Alabama.
Not me. I loved it. I've never once in my 4 years in Tuscaloosa ever called home for a penny.
We're gonna leave on that. We're gonna leave on that note.
There it is.
In the SEC, it just means more.
It just means a little bit more, Reed. It means more, Reed. Like Kerry, what you gonna do if an SEC team come on with that natty this year?
Kerry not gonna be able to take it.
Reed, so you telling me they good in basketball?
Good at basketball
and baseball?
And baseball.
and ran football for decades.
20 years.
Is there any other conference?
Would a national champion come from the SEC this year?
If I was a betting man, I would say no. I'm going to say the three teams that I would say are the favorites right now. Texas out the SEC. Penn State. I feel good about Penn State. And I feel really, really good about Clemson.
I represent Brandon Harris at Texas. I represent Mike Reed at Clemson.
Reed.
I'm not gonna pick a side, right?
Yeah, Reed. I remember Reed used to coach out in Oxon Hill High School. I remember, yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, Reed. DB coach.
Really good.
Yeah. Him and Sweeney been locked in ever since he was a DB coach at NC State. Yeah. Oh, Mike Reed.
Guys, we out of here. We'll see you next Monday.